In today's Will It Run, I had a customer bring me an older Poulan Pro self-propelled push mower. Now, the story behind this lawnmower is he ended up taking it to another shop. They basically never got to it and worked on it. So let's go out in the shop and get started on this and get this going for this guy. Now, this is how I got it. I got a basket full of parts here. The top part of the motor that was all tore apart on this engine. Gas tank. And the carburetor. And of course, well, we don't have any bolts with it, so I'm gonna have to find some bolts, but we'll go through and clean this carburetor out since it's already off, and before we put this back on. I didn't get all the details on this situation. All I know is the customer, when he brought this in, he was kind of upset about the whole deal. And look at that carburetor, it is definitely dirty. So we'll go ahead and get this carburetor soaking. We'll run this thing through the ultrasonic cleaner, and hopefully this is going to be good enough that I can save and we won't have to replace the carburetor. I think we might have got to this carburetor just in time before you get to the point of no return where you can't save them. Boy, gaskets have been on here for a while. Boy, that is really crusty. While we're waiting for that to clean in the ultrasonic tank, we might as well go through and start putting this back together. I found some bolts. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this manifold here is tight on it, because these have a tendency to loosen up over time. So just take and snug them up just so be sure it doesn't suck air around there at the base of the block and the manifold itself, because these are just plastic. Start by putting this recoil back on here. I got the oil dipstick here loose on it. Gas tank on here. Oh, cute. Got some gas in it. Wow. Alright, well, I guess we better go drain this gas out of here. Let's make sure there's no debris in this tank. That would not be good on a fresh carburetor clean. Well, hopefully this engine runs pretty decent. One of those things really can't tell till we get it started. Well, we're halfway there on getting this put back together now. I have a feeling probably what's going to take the longest on this is going to be cleaning the carburetor. Let's see what the spark plug looks like on this guy. Plug looks a little fouled in it. We'll go ahead and clean this up and put it back in there. Yeah, I just took and cleaned it up with a wire brush and rechecked the gap on it and set it at 30 thousandths. Plug looked all right to me. I don't think that would be an issue with it. All right, the ultrasonic cleaner cleaned this carb up really nice. So I recommend getting one of these if you're doing this kind of work. Now I'm going to go through this really quick on this. If you would really like to see a really good detailed clean on these type of carburetors for your Quantum Series Briggs & Stratton, leave a comment down below and I'll make that happen for you all out there. But I will tell you, there's two main problems with this engine and this carburetor is this stupid jet here on the bottom. See, what happens is this jet sits in the bottom of this bowl like so, okay? But you got your fuel transfer hole right here in the bottom. Now, how that fuel transfers through there is you got a hole that goes through the side of it, goes straight through that jet to the other side. Now, what happens if you get some dirt or debris in the bottom of this bowl and it gets sucked up into that transfer hole to your jet, you're all done. It will not pick up fuel and they will not start. And of course, another problem I absolutely love on these motors is that stupid plastic backing plate they have on it for the primer. Whenever you do a carburetor rebuild, sometimes you disturb that seal on them. They can be a real bugger getting them to seal up again. Be able to make your primer work well. But if you're still with me through this video and you stick around, I'll show you a tip on how to get around that, what I do, that works 9 times out of 10. And when you see this tip, you're going to thank me for it. I'll start by putting the float and needle back in here, just like this. Your hinge pin. Just like that. That moves freely. Go ahead and put our float bowl on like this. Now your main jet goes in the bottom like so. Put my washer back on. Now let's test to make sure I don't have any leaks at my needle and seat. I got this handy little vacuum tester. I've had this thing for years, and I tell you, this is a really nice tool to have. You just take and slide your fitting on here like so, and I'll just take and pump it up. And if it stays right there for like 10 seconds at a time, we're filming this right now, I know I'm not going to have a issue with my needle and seat leaking. Then I just take and release it. All you do is shake the carburetor and it releases it. We called it a wrap after we finished this carburetor up last night. It's raining out this morning, so I had to pull this in the shop. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together. Got my O-ring to throw on. Customer actually called me up last night too, and he told me, he says, get this thing up running, let's go through everything, get it ready to go for next year. Told me to replace the blade on it, and the drive belt on here I noticed is not good, so I addressed that issue with him. He told me go ahead and change the belt. I'm replacing the fuel line on this. This is kind of old and brittle and stiff. I don't trust it. Now, something else I do, being how much I love the main jet design on these Quantum engines, I'll take one of these red little gas filters and put on these just for a little bit of an insurance policy that nothing gets through there and jams up that bottom jet on it. It's not 100% foolproof, I'll tell you that right now, but I do believe it helps. I recommend these red type of fuel filters. Don't use any of the cartridge type. Otherwise, there's a chance they'll starve the engine for fuel. And people are wondering what I mean by that. A lot of people don't know, but these fuel filters, they have a designated micron to them. What that simply means is how much restriction they're made with the flow of fuel. You know, like your cartridge filters, those round ones like you see, those are more or less designed for an engine that has a fuel pump that helps push fuel through them. Unless they have a gravity feed system on them, possibly it's about the size of Mount Everest. There we go. All right, now this is that design I was talking about earlier that I absolutely hate on these Quantum engines, is this stupid backing plate they put on these things that are plastic. A lot of times you go through and clean your carburetor, once you break the seal loose and try to put it back together with a new gasket, well, now it doesn't work sometimes, and sometimes you have to take and silicone the crap out of this and let it sit overnight and put it back together. It does work that way, but this is what I do, and I've had good success with this, is you see this container right here? There's your gasket right there. That is some PB Blaster. Now I take and I let that soak in there for a couple hours before I put it back together. 9 times out of 10, it will seal if you do that. So with that being said, I have had a couple that did not seal, but that's just because this plate was so warped and damaged. A replacement was the only fix for it. And something else I do too is when you put this on here and tighten it up, don't put the Macho Man Randy Savage on it and tighten it up all the way. Just do it gradually. I'll put gas in it and see if it pumps fuel or not, and if it don't, I'll snug it and sequence a little bit more until I start seeing fuel pump, and then I'll stop. Okay, see, I just snugged it and stopped. Now I'll take and put some gas in this thing and see where we're at. I guess I need to start using the funnel more when I'm pouring gas. I'm trying to get this so you can see this best as possible. I want to show you that soaking that gasket and PB Blaster works. Check this out, and I hit the primer button. See it blowing gas up in there? Go ahead and throw our air filter back in. Reconnect our throttle cable. It's pretty cool, this lawnmower has a throttle cable. Just going to lube this up a little bit, PB Blaster on this throttle mechanism while we're here. Might as well go through and change this drive belt out while we're right here. Make life a little easier. And I can take as you can see how rusty this pulley is. I'm going to take and clean this up really good before we put the new belt on there. I actually did a short a little while back on how important it is to make sure these pulleys are clean. I can put a link up that at the end of this video if you'd like to check that out. As you can see right here, once I got this cover off, the belt is even off. Slip a new belt in here. Just like so. Cover this goes in here like this. Tuck back in behind there as it helps keep that intact. Brand new blade, as the customer requested. I always torque my blades on after I run them on with an impact gun and put a little bit of purple Loctite on the threads just to make sure. This is an added insurance policy. It's not going anywhere. Have you all ever seen one of these mowers spit a blade out from underneath the mower deck? Pretty exciting, isn't it? Let's see if this guy will start up right now. I'm sure it's going to smoke like hell being it was tipped on its side. Well, the self-propelled works okay on it. It's a good sign. Yeah, she don't sound bad, does she? Doesn't run too bad right here. I'm going to run this a little bit, get the engine nice and warm, then we're going to change the oil in it. Well, this thing's up and running. It runs pretty decent right now. Let's give it the ultimate test and mow a couple swipes with it and see how it performs. Pumping it 3 times. Oh, this she runs out really nice. Well, as you saw, she seems to run and cut nice out there in the yard. The self-propelled works great on it. There's zero effort in pushing the lawnmower. So overall, this was a win on this, putting this lawnmower back together for this guy that came in the basket case. Till next time, we'll see you in our next video.